The poor boy who became the richest man in the world. This story proves that even those who are born in misery can become rich. Rockefeller was born into a home of misery. His father was a thief, a train robber. Both his parents were illiterate. However, he became the richest man in history. Today, no one can match his fortune. We are going to describe Rockefeller's most important tips for making money. We will unveil the secrets of this hyper-millionaire, a man so astute to the world of business and money that not even the government could have any effect in reducing his immense fortune. Before we continue with the topic, remember to subscribe to the channel, leave us your like and don't forget to give us your opinion when the video ends, below in the comments. Rockefeller, as a child, started making money by selling candy in rocks that he painted and sold at school. Developed sales skills as early as possible. Rockefeller starts selling candy at school. Thus, he develops a taste for money and knows what to do. Money is within everyone's reach, if you know how to sell. The young Rockefeller of the old school, 100% focused on saving, completed his studies in accounting, while working as a messenger boy in his spare time. His first job was as an assistant accountant for a grain and commodities retailer. He dedicated himself 100% to his work as an assistant accountant. Tip number 2. To achieve extraordinary income, you have to make extraordinary efforts. Most people who are born poor are not aware that in order to stop being poor, you have to make almost superhuman efforts. Having military discipline is something that for the vast majority is almost impossible. To stop going out on weekends is something that almost no one is willing to do, but even so, they complain that they do not have the same opportunities. Rockefeller deprived himself of all these tractors as a young man, and he had already developed salesmanship as a child. After nearly 5 years of working as an accounting clerk, he decided to start his own grain, commodities and raw materials business, partnering with a coworker. Start with experience. It is not ideal to give up your life as an employee. Without the courage to start a business, we are destined to be employees. With his first business, Rockefeller managed to become a successful commodities trader with his partner. He then decided to go into business for himself. To invest his capital in something more lucrative. He saw the opportunity to invest in oil, since most of the public lighting in 1864 was made with kerosene lamps, a petroleum derivative. He then started his first oil refinery. Tip number 4. Constantly identify new sources of income. Times change, the business that generates money today may not do so later on. That is why it is necessary to diversify and invest in new assets. The young Rockefeller, in his 30s, became an oil entrepreneur. His venture into the oil industry was his big breakthrough. He then acquired all the refineries in the city of Cleveland. But he never wore expensive suits. He was not an ostentatious man, on the contrary, he was characterized by austere habits. When you begin to have a large income, don't increase your expenses. There is a rule called capital preservation. Just as we give value to money, when we don't have it, we must conserve that same esteem and valuation of money. After John D. Rockefeller controlled much of the oil business in his city, Cleveland, he set out to control the rest of the refineries in the United States. He kept buying more and more refineries from his competitors. Hire an accountant. When we start a business, the initial investment automatically becomes debt. Until we replace that first investment, the business remains in the red. But it still does not generate it. Most businesses fail because they do not understand this principle. The investment does not belong to you. Until the business is able to repay that investment, it is in debt. After John Rockefeller buys up much of America's refineries, and he takes control of the oil in the whole country of the United States. You have to be visionary, observant, observe well, a business can always improve. Do not depend on others, learn to identify the traitors, keep them away. To engineer the way and develop talent, so as not to depend on uncomfortable partners. Partner only with people who contribute to your business. A partner must be comparable in capital growth. Time passed and his company controlled more than 90% of the oil in the United States, and then he was accused of monopoly. He went to trial against the United States government. He was over 70 years old, a respected American businessman, lost the trial and was forced to sell a large part of his company to other oil companies. In this way, he no longer fell into monopoly practices. This was the best thing that could have happened to Rockefeller, because afterwards El País went into crisis. There was the famous crisis of the 1920s, the greatest financial crisis in history. Stock prices fell to historic lows. Companies whose shares were worth $100 went down to $7 per share. It was then that Rockefeller bought a large number of shares, and a few years later the market recovered, and he increased his fortune more than 15 times. In this way he became the richest man in history. No matter how many adversities come, a door will always open. You have to be alert to see the opportunity in adversity. Never have self-pity for yourself. Go forth. Did you like the video? Leave your comments below. Remember to like, subscribe and share this information, so it can reach more people. Thanks for watching.